This is a 2,500-pound ATV winch. I picked it up from my local dealer, but make note that you can find this winch on Amazon and of course from KFI itself. I went ahead and already unboxed this for us. So we got our winch, we got our nuts and bolts here, we got our contactor, you get your fair lead, your cable and rope here, you got your remote control accessories right here, and of course your power supply to power your winch. You get some zip ties, and of course your mounting plate for your winch, and instructions on how to install this winch. Of course you could use this for information on a Kodiak winch install, and also use it to apply basic knowledge to install any winch across the whole ATV platform. So let's go ahead and jump into installing this guy. First thing that we're going to want to do is get our contactor mounted to our plate. Next thing you're going to want to do is keep note that when you put on your contactor that you put the wires facing up, because when you make contact to the battery, everything's going to be coming downwards. So yeah, just good to remember that. Let's go ahead and get these tightened up here. There are 2 bolts that need to be loosened up right here. So let's go ahead and get those loosened up. Before we actually mount the plate onto the ATV itself, there's something you should take note of right here. This contactor sticks out about maybe 2.5 to 3 inches, give or take. The space that I'm concerned about is right here. So where your differential is to where that contactor is going to sit is only about 3 inches, 2 inches itself. So there's space there for your contactor with no concerns, but you should keep note that running wire right here, it's going to be limited. Go ahead and take off the plastic here. It's got to come off anyways. I'm going to drop the wire through and then plug into the contactor and then mount that plate. Alright guys, so here's your battery, right? There's your positive, and down here is your negative. So your battery is onto your left side of your machine if you're sitting on the ATV. Now if you look right through here, there is a little slot which I could run wire all the way down, which will give me access to the frame right there. Now if I follow that frame, I can run it and keep it going down this frame line before I pull out and get into the back right there. So let's drop those down through there. The only thing causing this to hang up just a little bit is the fact that you have those boots on there for your winch. I could have took them off, but it's alright, it's working out. So I think that's enough that I could go ahead and get that fed through. You got all these wires right here, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 that you need to push that cable behind. I know wiring for a lot of folks could be probably the most complicated piece, but don't let that overwhelm you. Just look at what you're doing and find a path that you think works best for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off the boot. I already did, and the reason being is I just don't want it to get hung up right here, since we are a little bit tighter than we were just a little bit ago. Now here, that is your bleeder line for your gas. It's a little tight in there, but you definitely put that underneath. So when you zip tie up here, that is still doing its job. So just keep in mind that some of these wires hold a purpose for this ATV, and you definitely don't want to cut off any circulation, especially for your vent system there. But yeah, there we go. That one's all the way through, and we are good to go. And same thing is going to happen to the other wire. This kit comes with about, I don't know, 5 feet of wire for your contactor to winch connector. I'm going to splice into this. I like to have extra slack just for the never knows in the future if something happens where, you know, I hit something and it jacks up one of the edges here. At least I did myself that favor of storing some wire underneath, but I definitely do not need to store, you know, 5 feet of wire. All right, guys, so I'm just going to go ahead and make a direct cut across. There we go. That's about 2 feet of wire right there, maybe 18 inches, but that's going to be perfect. It's all I need to complete this job. And then I like to kind of wind up my wire just a little bit here, and then go ahead and slip that on just like that. You can see that the wire's sticking out there at the, and then just go ahead and squeeze that on. We got 2 new connected connectors here, and so they're all color coded according to wire type. And again, these make contact from the winch to the contactor, so that's why you have your blue and yellow versus your black and red. I'm going to remove the light cover here, which is a matter of 2 push pins on both sides, and this should just pop right off. What I'm going to do is run the wire of the remote up here off of your handlebar, come down, feed that wire through, come across, drop it down into that same hole that we saw earlier in this video for the battery. Let's go ahead and pop these off. Oh yeah, those come off really quick and easy. Yeah, let's go ahead and pop off the other one. All right, ready to go. That's it, she's free. Here is our remote. So let's just kind of lay it over this for now, which is our handlebar. Let's just pull that plastic back, run that down just like so. This part doesn't have to be perfect yet. It's just more of the placement, just so that way we could have our positive wire that'll connect into our ignition switch, which is right here, already laid out for us. But the main purpose while we're doing this is because we want to drop this wire right down into this hole and get it fed through. So let's just work that through, and we'll catch it down there at the bottom once we get enough fed. Alright guys, here is a look at what I've kind of done here. So again, this is your frame right here, right? I pulled this wire through. I've already fed some of this wire for the contactor through the hole that it will sit in. And so all we need to do now is plug in those wires into this, make contact with your contactor to your battery box, and then not only that, the wires that we spliced earlier, that will run from the contactor to the winch itself that sits right there. Alright, so this right here on the Yamaha, and it could be different for whatever ATV you're working on. Again, I'm doing an installment on the Yamaha, but this is the access point to our ignition that's right here on the right side of the bike. So there's a push pin there. I guess it was already kind of loose. I may have loosened it already, just kind of tinkering around with things. But the wire that we are going to want to cut here is going to be this black and white wire. You don't want to cut into the green one. Just make sure that you splice the black and white one again. Alright, so let's go ahead and cut some of this back. I think that should be enough there. Oh yeah, that's plenty there. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and make a cut about, I don't know, 2 inches from up here where this clip is. So make a cut here. Just, whoa, almost cut the wrong one. Pay attention here. Again, we don't want that green one. We just want the black and white one here. So again, about 2 inches. Nice clean cut. Easy. Something to work with afterwards. So we got to get this, which is your power for your remote, to tie into all this. It's gonna kind of be a 3-way connection to get this back in there, but this was already pre-spliced coming from the manufacturer of KFI. So since this is clean, let's just get this trimmed up, and then we'll cramp it together, and then I'll use what's already here and just kind of tape that around so it's already kind of naturally protected by the existing covering. Alright, so let's go ahead and put on one of these connectors here so that way we could get power to come through here. So just push that all the way back. There we go. It's got a good bite in there. And then just wind that up nice and good. And let's go ahead and push this side in there. Cramp it. This is all done here. I'm going to go ahead and plug that back in the way it's supposed to go. But before you get to that final step of getting everything back together, you know, test that winch, man. Either it could be a bad winch or you did something wrong with the wiring. Of course, 100% confident I did not do anything wrong with the wiring. So if something does go wrong, it is 100% winch. So I've done several winch jobs. They're pretty easy. So it's definitely, it wouldn't be a rookie mistake here. Alright guys, so all of our connectors are in there. Apologize I couldn't show you the action of this, but there's just, you know, limited room back in here, and you need both hands and just a lot of coordination. But we are done now. So yeah, here it is. So of course, these are your remote wires for your solenoid. This is your black and red wires, which I kind of left facing up because those need to go up into the battery there. These are your blue and yellow wires, so I kind of left those sideways because those need to run along the back to get to your winch, which will go in just a moment. So now that this is all set up and the way it's supposed to be and tightened off, now we could push this back into its hole here, get this all tied in, and then we could go ahead and put that winch in and then wire the winch to your contactor. So now we could go ahead and push in this plate and clean up the wires from it being a little crisscross once we get to that point, because I could still have that mobility of having this move around the way I wanted to, because we have not tied down everything. Tie down should almost take place last. So that way you could pull out all the slack that you have up on your frames and try to figure out places where you want to hide that wiring, so that way it looks clean when you're done. So you know, if you're out there and you're just riding around, you should be able to look at your ATV and not see all this clutter of wire around. So that's the reason why I like to do things with zip ties last, because I like to hide that wire up in there somewheres. There you go, guys. That's what it's going to look like there when we get things to that point. But need to bolt it in. You can see how that fits in there nice and easy. Next thing is we're going to go ahead and put in this winch here. So let's loosen our free spool, get a little cable out here in a moment. And the reason being is you want to feed that cable through your fair lead there. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's all you need, is about that much. All right, so now we are officially mounting our plate to the winch. Oops, that thing fell out pretty quick and easy. There we go. So let's go ahead and put our fair lead on. Got to run that cable through first, and then we line it up to the holes here. Let's go ahead and push our bolt through on one side and feed the bolt through here on the other side. So I went ahead and took the pin out already. That's nothing to it. So let's put that in there. Let's get our pin up in here too. Then bend that back a little bit just so it stays put. I'll get some channel locks to this and bend that back a little better, but it's on there for now. It's not going to fall off. We could go ahead and finish off getting all the wiring done for our contactor. Again, boots are on, and I took these wires that actually are the winch to contactor, and I placed those ones right here. That's a short path. It's hidden really well. Again, once this is back, you're not even gonna know that there's a little bit of wire that hang out right there. You know, it's so tight in here, it can't really take you along and show you the hands-on part of things. But here is another zip tie. The wires run the frame just like they do on the other side. Let's go ahead and get the positive cable on. I went ahead and did the black cable already. Plus, batteries are pretty self-explanatory. Winch is officially powered. It's just a matter of checking it out now. Again, if we did this right, this should not work without the key on. So let's do in, nothing, key over, booyah. Finish tying off wires, placing your remote, which I already did. We just got done testing out the winch. It worked just as expected. Finish tying off wires, placing your remote, which I already did. All that excess cordage for that remote is now stationed right here. Right there is our remote. Very easy to put on, self-explanatory for most folks. It's just a matter of getting your brackets over your handlebars and just tightening down your brackets, angling your remote how you want it. I chose to come up and over to your left, so that way I could still have access to it when I'm on my handlebars here. This job is done, guys. It's just a matter of putting on the plastics, cutting off the existing zip ties that I left as just visibility of where I put things. But it looks good, man. Very happy with the way things came out. I just want to say thank you so much for all your support. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And yeah, just showed you guys how to install a winch for yourselves. Easy job to do, and it doesn't take any time to do it. So thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.